Greetings, Commanders! We are currently reworking artillery in World of Tanks. Decreased stun effects, reduced damage to vehicles on the edge of the burst radius, increased efficiency of Spall Liners, and reworked technical characteristics of some SPGs. Now let's get into the details. Back in April 2017, as part of Update 0918, we made some significant changes to SPGs. The update aimed to solve an important issue. Players neither liked playing SPGs nor fighting against them. Those who didn't like SPGs complained about being one-shotted or receiving tons of damage upon penetration. Plus, there were too many SPGs in each battle. On the other hand, SPG players needed to consider the long reload time and poor accuracy. We've tried to solve the issue on both sides. Now, SPGs only have HE shells. Additionally, we decrease their penetration and damage per hit. There can be a maximum of 3 SPGs on a team, and only 1 SPG in a platoon. We also improved their accuracy and aiming time, while decreasing dispersion. And more importantly, we introduced stun mechanics, which aimed to be more suitable than enormous damage per hit and one-shots. It means that the technical characteristics of a vehicle are temporarily decreased if the vehicle is within the burst radius of an SPG shell. These changes definitely showed results. Now, artillery can rarely destroy a vehicle with a single shot. As such, the influence of SPGs on the battle outcome is similar to other vehicle types. In addition, their gameplay improved due to the increased accuracy and the margin for error. Plus, by assisting your allies, you'll be earning plenty of credits and experience. Now, as a result of these changes, all SPGs rarely deal full damage to vehicles when hitting them. Take the Object 261 as an example. The frequency of full damage penetrations has decreased by 7-fold. However, it became obvious that most players weren't completely happy with the new stun mechanics. There was still more to be done, and that's why we want to change it. The wind of change is blowing in World of Tanks. We've decided to rework several aspects. Let's start with the most significant improvement. It changes the stun mechanics in cases when a new stun is applied to a vehicle that is already stunned. In short, let's call it an additional stun. Now, the additional stun extends the overall stun duration, only if the duration of an additional stun is longer than the remaining duration of the previous stun. It practically renders a vehicle defenseless in fierce encounters. After the rework, stunning will be calculated by a new formula. According to this formula, the duration of each repeated stun is halved. For example, previously a vehicle was stunned for 15 seconds. Then 9 seconds in, another stun came. As a result, the players had to tolerate another 15 seconds of being stunned. So the total stun duration was 9 plus 15 equals 24 seconds. With the new changes, the time of the second stun will be reduced by half. If the result is less than 5 seconds, an additional stun is not applied. Also, the received value is compared with the remaining time of active stun. If the new value is higher than the previous one, the stun is renewed. If it's not, players won't even notice it. Let's take the previous example. There was a 15-second stun, and another 15-second stun comes 9 seconds in. The remainder of the first stun is 6 seconds. 15 seconds of new stun are divided into 2, so we get 7.5 seconds. 7.5 seconds is more than the 6-second remainder, so instead of 15 seconds as before, the stun will be active for 7.5 seconds. The overall time stunned will be 16.5 seconds. As a result, it's almost 8 seconds less compared to the current mechanic. During this time, players can change position, cause damage to the enemy, reset the cap, and much more. Thanks to the new mechanics, the stun extension from repeated artillery hits will decrease significantly. There will be more cases when players won't notice the repeated stuns. That's because the stun timer won't reset in some cases. After the rebalance, the changes will affect 2 stun components. The component independent from damage is a permanent value. It's known as the minimum stun duration and specified in the garage. This duration depends on the shell and the SPG. The component that depends on damage is a conditional variable that is calculated depending on the damage caused by a shell. It's not specified in the game. Both components combined equal 1. Now, the constant component that doesn't depend on damage will affect the full stun duration by 5% less. For example, the correlation between the conditional constant and conditional variable for the object 261 will change from 0.45 to 0.55 and from 0.4 to 0.6 respectively. This will change the minimum stun duration from 13.05 seconds to 11.6 seconds. The burst damage between the vehicle and the burst point will be redistributed for the stun component that depends on damage. Currently, this range can vary from 0.5 to 0.15. So, the damage at the burst point of a non-penetrating HE shell equals 0.5 of its nominal value, and 0.15 on the edge of the burst radius. After the rebalance, the damage on the edge of the burst radius will decrease from 0.15 to 0.05. This will lead to damage reduction both on the edge of the burst radius and any distance from the burst point. The stun duration will also decrease a little. In addition to the duration of repeated stuns, the effect of the Spall Liner on repeated stuns will also change. Now, the super heavy Spall Liner will additionally reduce the duration of the repeated stun by 20% and the heavy Spall Liner by 10%. So, if the repeated stun duration is 10 seconds, it will be reduced to 8 seconds when using the super heavy Spall Liner and to 9 seconds when using the heavy Spall Liner. Also, the characteristics of a number of vehicles will be rebalanced for their performance to be adjusted after the stun mechanic changes. These changes will affect both specific vehicles and entire groups of vehicles. We hope that players both playing with and against these vehicles will see these as positive steps forward. All this is a working concept of SPG revamping. The new changes will be tested on super tests, and we also will evaluate the possible consequences of these changes. Your opinion on SPG rebalancing is also important. The further work on game improvement will be done with due account of both the analysis data and your feedback.